I want to talk about branding yourself as a music producer. Right now, there's so many examples, right, of what we see in the world with dealing with media, dealing with any type of product being sold. You're dealing with it being seen, it being heard. Like, that's your brand, you know what I mean? And so, for me, I want to start off by saying, for me, as a music producer, to me, your greatest, what speaks to your brand is not just making production videos. And I got homeboys to do that. And that's one of the strong, I'm gonna talk about that. That's one of the strong points of branding is being seen and being heard. So one of the guys that produced for me, his name is Justin Williams. He's out of New Orleans. This dude makes a beat video like once or twice a week. It's dope. But to me, the ultimate branding is the product itself, right? So you got some people who may spend $50,000 on an ad campaign, and then you may have a product who spends $5,000 on an ad campaign. But if you get the product from a person who spends so much money making it be seen and be heard, and it's just mediocre or not that good, what's going to happen to it? It's going to fizzle out. But that person or that restaurant you go back to that's way back in the hood and way back in the cut somewhere, and its reputation of having the greatest food, like you would never see it on TV, on a billboard. But what happens every weekend? What happens at lunchtime? It's packed. It's a long line. Why? Because they have perfected the craft of cooking or whatever that recipe is of service or a mixture of a couple things. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about branding. I want to start with asking the question, what is branding? And why is that important? So an effective brand strategy, this is what the purpose of branding is, to give you a major edge or increasingly competitive stance in the marketplace. But what does branding actually mean? Simply put, your brand is your promise to your customer. It tells them what they can expect from you. It also differentiates your offering from your competitors. Your brand is derived from who you are intrinsically and who you want people to perceive you to be. So I use myself as an example. So I don't do, what's going on, my dude? Good to see you, man. I don't do a lot of beat videos. Matter of fact, I can probably count on my hands. So my brand comes from, one, my art. So I make sure that when artists, when songwriters, musicians, when labels, A&R people leave my presence, leave the studio, they know, like, this dude knows what he's talking about. He or she knows her craft well enough that if they don't ever put out, if I don't ever see their name in lights or see an ad campaign or Facebook campaign, that the industry, people who know who to go to are going to say, that guy or that young lady, they do great work. Style. So I'm a stylish guy. Just by nature, I love style. Like, I love just looking nice. So another thing which took my benefit in the world of Western culture is that we value style, we value fashion. So when you look cool, and I take hints from my dude Pharrell. Anybody like Pharrell? Yeah, anybody? So I'm just gonna name some of the guys that I think about when I think about branding. And you never see these guys making beat videos. Pharrell, Dr. Dre. Of course, Dr. Dre has so many things now promoting his name. Who else can I? Rick Rubin. When was the last time you seen Rick Rubin in a to do how-to tutorial? Never. You just see him with his big beard chilling. He the guru. You know what I mean? You see, when you gonna catch him every now and then, working with Jay-Z, you'll see him in passing. You know what I mean? But why is it that everybody knows his name, but you never even see him? Because his work precedes him. You see what I'm saying? And so your brand is combined of a few things, but mainly it is who you are intrinsically. And so you can, matter of fact, sabotage yourself by poisoning your brand. By just you can start off good, I have something nice, but ruin it by just being lazy, by being inconsistent. We're going to talk about some of those. So one of the first things I want to talk about is originality, staying true to who you are. So how do you do that? That means that you don't switch up every time a new trend happens, right? So if you like hip hop music and you like using samples, you know what I'm saying, and you like soulful stuff, and all of a sudden you see Young Thug and all these guys coming out and you're trying to make records like Lil Uzi Vert, and you just like, you switching up, and then your stuff is, they listening to it, they like, that 808, that ain't hitting. Like, man, your claps, man, what's going on with your, bro, no one uses those sounds anymore. Why? Because you try, now I'm not saying adapting, because every producer has to adapt and stay relevant. But when you try to switch up and you abandon who you are to the core to try to please some 18-year-old, or try to challenge an 18-year-old producer, then you're gonna lose. Why? Because you grew up in hip-hop culture when it was boom, 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 and now they grew up in, and it's all mumble rap. And no, I'm not against mumble rap because I produce a lot of it. But I'm saying they are staying true to who they are. So you stay true to who you are, and you're always learning. And so you stay original. That way people know what to get when they come to a studio with you. You see what I'm saying? And when you try to flip-flop and all that, you just weaken yourself instead of having a strong, steady foundation. Your personality matters. You know what I mean? So when you're branding, people like to work with people who are, who's going to give them a good representation and a good feeling in the studio. And they're like, not only do they know their craft, but she's also a good person. No one wants to be in the studio with someone who just, it's a horrible experience. You know what I mean? It's like players. Growing up playing football and baseball, like, it was players on the team that were the best players on the team. But if they didn't know teamwork, if they couldn't take criticism, like, the coach would be like, be gone. Because they're like, that person is not a team player, and ultimately is gonna weaken us. You gotta ask yourself, who am I? And I mean, what is my personality? What are the ways that I enjoy giving my content to my customers? You gotta ask yourself, am I that young, zealous producer who's mastered the art of loop-based beat making? Or are you the experienced producer who enjoys vocal arranging, bringing in live instruments and song structure? Are you that energetic producer who makes 5 beat videos a week? Or the artsy producer, as we talked about, who's never really seen, maybe on accident? But whoever you are, you can't do both. You can't be all things to all people. You should stay focused on who you are to the core, and then you learn to take in what other things are popping off in the genre, in the industry, and the culture, because that keeps you relevant and also keeps you fresh and challenging, because we never stop learning. I don't care who you are. Consistency and quality. And this is an important one. One of the main attributes of an artist, one of the main attributes that artists, labels, and A&Rs look for in a producer is consistency. They want to know that if they call on her or call on him for a project, that he or she will deliver. What do I mean by that? That means that labels, artists, because music is moving so fast, did you know that if an artist is not dropping a song every 4 to 6 weeks, like, no, people stop checking for them unless they've been out here, 5, 10, 15 years, and you expecting that work from that person. But music is coming out so fast, sometimes, every 2 to 3 weeks. So what does that mean? That means artists, A&Rs, labels that are looking for content constantly. So how do we meet this demand? This means making music regularly so that you have a rich enough catalog to be able to dispense multiple tracks to clients in a very short notice. So if I'm only making, and I know all of us don't do this, most of you guys don't do this full time, but if I only made 1 beat a week, how many beats is that a month? Yeah. So if I got 4 artists that's asking for beats in a month's time, how many beats can I give them? Yeah, 1 or 2. Or sometimes you may get 4, but you risk double dipping in there. I've done it a lot of times. I'm like, dirty, I served your beat on accident, and then you gotta get on their money back or come up with an excuse. So you have to have a work ethic that says, even though I work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, I've got to make time for my craft. This is not only how you get better, but this is how you build a catalog so that when an artist or someone calls to you and he calls upon you for work, you got 10, 15, 20 tracks to give them. With pop feel, hip hop feel, R&B feel, soulful feel. You should always be studying your craft. And you should always be looking at the industry and seeing what's current, and that teaches you how to stay relevant. So not compromising who you are, but I got homeboys who used to do this full time, right? You know, and 6 years ago, 7 years ago, they was killing. But what happened? They got stubborn as producers. Now, if you guys have learned anything about being an artist, you learn how to be flexible, especially in this time. So what happens when producers when they stop being flexible, they become rigid. They become like an oak tree. And instead of bending like a bamboo, when change comes, storms come, they break. So my dudes, they were like, dog, I'm sticking with the NPC, I don't care what come out. You know what I'm saying? They failed to adapt. They failed to put down the samples just for a little while and pick up, machine, pick up native instruments or complete or something and just work with some sounds. Dirty. Is it gonna kill you to make a little 4-bar loop that's boom, 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 add a clap, and then add your boom back? And they're like, I'm not doing that. And then cats stop checking for them. They disappear. Now they're working in a cubicle somewhere. And I'm not judging that because we got to follow God's calling. But they didn't do their job. They weren't flexible. And so they got left behind. Also, being consistent is being able to put together a pool of writers. This is what helps you to have constant material that's relative to the artist that you're working with, and also good quality. So you should be reaching out for a pool of writers. 1 or 2, 3, hopefully 5 or 6 that you can call on at any time. You can get somebody in the studio to help you put a hook or write lyrics to tracks that you've made. If you've been in this industry or have a placement or you have an artist you're working with, you know the hook is one of the most important things of a song. So if you can't write hooks, then you have to go look for someone who can write hooks. I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, a beat with a hook will outsell a beat without a hook any day. Why? Because they look at it and they say, oh, I can hear this already. As soon as they hear that, even if you don't have words, just mumble a dope melody. And that artist is already going to visualize it. As soon as they come on, they're going to be like, but if they ain't got no lyrics, sometimes the beat can be hot. Now I've done this, Lecrae. I've sent Lecrae music without a hook. And he listened to it and didn't pass it. Then I'll sit with Natalie. And then I'll play a beat for Natalie. Lecrae heard the beat again with a hook on it. And he'd be like, ooh, what happened to this chick? And then she'd be like, bro, we sent this to you, but it didn't have a hook on it. So when he heard it with the hook, that same beat gave him life. You see what I'm saying? Number 3, work ethic and humility. This is a big one because I got homeboys who are killer producers. But one of their branding attributes is that they're hard to work with. And so when a big opportunity arises and you got, somebody like the Reach Record guys or somebody from a major label reaches out and they got a pool of producers there, and then we want y'all to create a masterpiece for a week. In your head, you're thinking because you know your colleagues, you get in the building, you like, what's good? And you like, yo, what's so-and-so not here? They like, dog, I am not working with that dude. Because they know that in a team atmosphere, this person is going to be the person that's probably going to get slapped. No, I'm not slapped. But that's the person that cat's going to be like, oh, my Lord. And and it's going to mess up the vibe. Anybody that knows about creating knows that if you don't have a vibe where your opinion feels respected and valued, you're going to hit a brick wall. And y'all going to end up in a corner with y'all little MacBooks working on your own little projects, and then y'all not sharing the creative juices that's going on in your head. One of the worst reputations a producer can have is that he or she is lazy, undependable, or arrogant. So this is very much a part of your brand that you want to stay away from. Producers, I know we're all guilty of this. When that artist or that label or that manager calls you for those files, any artists in here, raise your hand. Y'all know. If you gotta hunt down a producer for 3 or 4 weeks just to get the files to a track you paid for, you're gonna be lit. So this is what I do. I set reminders all the time. And I know I have to set 5, 10 of them. But I'm like, Google, remind me to send files to so-and-so. Google, remind me to send files to so-and-so at 12 o'clock. Google, remind me to send, because I know that once I give that word to that person, I only have 1 or 2 days grace before I run into that unprofessional zone, and it's like you're not valuing me as a customer and as a client. So producers, make sure you give those files. Software nowadays, what it takes. You gotta adjust the levels, take some of the plugins off. It takes you all of 30 minutes. Take that time, zip that thing up, get it ready to go, and I guarantee you, your client will be grateful, and what will be the report? It will be that that person is reliable. When I paid him, he had my track, and we all make mistakes. I get so busy sometimes, that's why I have an assistant. If I forget it, it'll slip through the cracks. I've had artists hit me up and be like, excuse me, sir, like I paid for this beat 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, freak. But is that a regular occurrence? No, it should not be. We all make mistakes. So get those files there to those clients in time. Keeping your word, making edits. Another thing, some producers hate to make edits. An artist says, yo, I like that sim sound, but it just, can we just choose another sound? Or maybe some producer be like, no, bro, that's how I heard it, and that's how the track stand. You know what I'm saying? Andy, he was like, Andy Mineo, a real dope artist. He was like, yo, one of the things I love about you is that you're always open for critique and change. Because some of the producers that he's worked with, and they're my colleagues and my homeboys, when you ask them to make a change, they puff up, turn red, and they're just like, and producers, I know we are excited. We spent hours tweaking that sound. We were very intentional about that sound that we put in there, but who are we working for? Ourselves or the artists. And so when you have that in mind, what's the term, especially in restaurants, when dealing with the customer? The customer is always right. You're working for them. Last one is network expansion. Networking and expansion. Part of branding is always looking for opportunities to expand the product you offer, whether they be TV, film, radio licensing, sync deals, etc. We have to be intentional about meeting new people, networking to expand our brand. So whether this be school programs, whether it be, I just did a placement with NFL Network, whether it be commercials, it is your job. Once you learn how to do it well, and once you've taken all of these points, and people know you have a good product, you say, okay, Lord, how do I be a good steward, and how do I expand what you've given me?